Hey, I've got an idea. Let's get out in the great outdoors. Let's celebrate Earth Day. Coming up April 22nd, this Thursday, let's celebrate by planting a native shrub, a shrub called ninebark. Take a look. Ninebark is a beautiful native shrub that grows in Michigan, and it produces beautiful flowers, which is a nectar source for insects and some birds. And it also produces berries. That's right, and birds can eat the berries. So let's take a look at planting a shrub called ninebark right here next to our school. I can't wait. Let me show you ninebark.
Native plants are plants that have been here for a long, long time, like thousands of years, so animals are adapted. Look at the beautiful flowers and berries on ninebark, a native shrub that is good food for wildlife and good shelter too.
So this is a little young ninebark shrub. Take a look at this cute little thing. Look at these cute little leaves. Aren't they precious? So this is a plant that I was able to get from a native nursery here in Michigan. Look at that root mass. Lots of roots on this one. I'm going to have to make a pretty big hole to plant this ninebark shrub. It's a native plant, and this native plant is enjoyed by many native birds and other wildlife. That's right, they will nest, birds can nest in it and find food in ninebark. Let's take a look at how to plant a native shrub. Friends, when you're looking for a shrub or tree to plant for wildlife, be careful about what you're getting. This is a shrub called autumn olive, and it's an invasive, non-native species that people have brought to Michigan because they thought it would help wildlife. Actually, the berries that autumn olive produces they're not very good for birds. So let's stay away from the non-native invasive plants like this autumn olive and do a little bit of research and plant native plants. That will help native wildlife. Step number one for planting a native shrub or a young tree is to find the site. Now consider the amount of sunlight the site gets and the amount of moisture. I'm going to plant this ninebark kind of on the edge of our wetland here at CA Frost. Ninebark can tolerate moisture in the soil, and it can grow in full or partial sunlight really well. Now, I'm going to start digging the hole. Hey, when you're digging the hole for the plant, consider that you should dig a hole that's 2 times as deep and wide as the root ball. Wow, this one really has a massive root system. I'm going to have to make a pretty big hole. I better get digging. Keep the roots moist while you're digging. I'll put them back over here. Here I go, I'm digging a big hole here.
I'll set the soil aside so I can put it right back in.
Look at that earthworm. That's good for the soil. Nice. Wow, that's a pretty good hole. That's pretty big. That's about twice the size of the root mass, and I can get the plant in there and there's plenty of room for it. Wow, look at the size of that hole. Pretty wet down there. I'm glad that ninebark can take soil that's wet. It can grow in wet or dry conditions. Now for the next step. Oh, hi. Hey, now that we've got this hole so deep, if it was dry, I would add water. You can see that this soil is very, very moist and it rained today. I'm not going to add water now, but if you were digging a hole and the soil was dry, add a bucket of water and let it soak in there. Now, I'm going to take some of the soil and build up a mound in the middle. This mound, you like to play in the dirt like I do? I'm making a mound to set the plant on. There. I've got a mound of soil. Look at those worms too. Good for the soil. I've got that mound sitting there. Now I can take my plant and I can put it like a skirt right over the top of that mound. There. I'm spreading out the roots so they've got plenty of places to grow. And I'm going to hold this plant right in place on top of that mound. Now I'm going to start, I want to make sure that the root flare, which is this part, this is called the root flare, where the roots start to come out from the plant. I'm going to make sure the root flare is about the same place as the level of the soil. Now, I'm going to start adding soil around it. And making sure it's on top for this if you want. I don't mind using my hands. I don't mind getting my hands a little dirty. Make sure that the soil is up underneath the roots and on top of the roots.
Here we go. This is the actual planting of the shrub. Now that the shrub is sitting up nice and straight, I can use both hands. I'm crunching that soil up so it's not all balled up. Make sure the soil is underneath the roots too. We don't want too much airspace. Oh yeah, this is looking good. All right.
Oh yeah, nine bark. When this shrub gets older, you'll see why it's called nine bark. The bark gets real flaky and peels off in layers. There's all that soil I had saved. I want to distribute it evenly. I'm not going to pack it down too tight, but I want to make sure there's not a lot of airspace there too. The sod that I dug up that had grass on it, I'm going to put that on top like this to kind of hold in that moisture. There's those pieces of sod. Oh yeah, that looks good. Now it's kind of like a little puzzle piece here. I want to make sure I've got all the roots covered. Oh yeah, this is looking so good. This looks like a happy plant. One of the last things I want to do with the soil that's left over is kind of build a berm. A berm is kind of like a little dam of soil that will hold the water in. So when it does rain, the water will kind of be trapped and stay in. It'll leave some space around the plant itself. Yeah, this is looking good. I think this is going to be a happy plant. We can come look at this plant when you come to school. Look at that. We just planted a nine bark. Don't you look so happy? Yeah! Planting native shrubs. I love it. Here we planted a native shrub to help wildlife and to help celebrate Earth Day. Hey friends, since I planted this shrub on the edge of the mowed grass behind our school, I'm going to put a little berm of wood chips or mulch around it. I don't want this right up against the trunk of this little shrub, but I'm going to put a ring of mulch around it to help hold in moisture and just to let the people know cutting the grass where the shrub is. So I'll just put a ring of mulch around it. And now, this is a happy little nine bark shrub that's going to grow up and produce food and shelter for wildlife. Yay, nine bark! Aren't you special? Mwah! Happy Earth Day, friends. Go out and do something great for the earth. There are many things you can do. See you later.